So let us begin. Okay. So today we will be discussing about the size of the signal. Okay. Signal is a quantity that you cannot actually see, right? Obviously, if you have a oscilloscope or something, you could visualize that signal. Practically, with your normal vision, I think you will be unable to. Okay. So we have some parameters by which we could actually evaluate the size of the signal. The first parameter is your signal energy. You could note it down. Signal energy. So we define signal energy, which is denoted as your E subscript G of the signal G of T as the energy that the voltage, that is your G of T, dissipates on the resistor. Dissipates on the resistor. Okay. So the formal definition of signal energy is, we define signal energy E subscript G of the signal G of T as the energy that the voltage G of T would dissipate on the resistor. So we formally evaluate it like this. So let us write it more formally. We define your EG, E subscript G, okay, for real signal as your E subscript G equal to integral from minus infinity to infinity your G square of T dt. Okay. So this is how we evaluate signal energy for real signal. Okay, mind it. So for real signal, if the real signal is complex in nature, this formula will change. So let me show you for your complex signal. So the definition can be generalized to complex valued signal G of T as, okay. So if you have a complex valued signal, okay, then you could find the energy in this way. Your E subscript G is equal to integral from minus infinity to infinity G of T mod square dt. Okay. So in this way you have to evaluate it. So this was one of the measures of signal. Okay. The one of the measures of signal size. Another measure of the signal size is your signal power. Signal power. So let me write the definition. You could note it. So to be meaningful measure of signal size. Wait a minute. Just okay. Okay. So to be meaningful measure of signal size, which is basically the strength. Okay. The energy must be finite. The energy must be finite. Okay. So a meaningful measure of the signals in such a case would be time average of the energy. Okay. The time average of the energy. Okay. Provided if it exists. It may exist or it may not exist also. So that's why. Okay. So which is the average power? Which is your average power? Okay. And this average power is denoted by your P subscript G, which is equal to, okay. So it is denoted by your P subscript G, okay. And it is defined for your real signal by this equation, that is your Pg equal to limit t tends to infinity, okay, 1 by t integral from minus t by 2 to t by 2 G square of t dt. So you could find there is quite a bit of similarity between this equation and the previous equation. What you are essentially doing here is you are finding the time average of the energy, and that is basically the average power. Okay. Now similarly, this equation can be modified for complex time signals. So complex signals. So similarly, for complex signal, your P subscript G equal to your limit t tends to infinity 1 by t, okay, integral from minus t by 2 to t by 2 of square t. So you could also find quite a bit of similarity between this equation and the previous equation that was there for finding the energy of complex signals. Okay, so these are the basically the units or the what we call it. So these are some of the parameters that would measure the size of a signal. Okay. Then the next thing is the units of energy and power. Now that we have uh, understood how to evaluate the energy and power of any given signal, we could just now find out what are the units that could be used to represent the energy and power. So units of signal, energy and power. Okay. So in normal physics, you must have read about energy and power. So what are the units that you are using for your energy and power? Could you just tell me?
Joules and watt.
Very good. So similarly, for signal energy, we have the same unit because this is also after all the same physics. Okay. So signal energy is measured in joules, while signal power is measured in watts. Okay. So, however, in practice, okay, we use logarithmic units, okay, because in electronics, the received signal strength or could be uh, some around some 10 to the minus 3 or 10 to the minus 6 watts. Okay, so if you are comparing two such values, it becomes quite complicated when you are using normal units. We prefer actually the logarithmic units. So in practice, logarithmic units are used. Okay, let us see how we could evaluate the logarithmic units of power. Okay, so a signal of average power, capital P watts, can have power, can have power this much, 10 log to the base 10 P. So whatever power is there in watts, if you take log to the base 10 of that and you multiply 10 to it, you will get it in dB watts. Okay, the unit will be dB watts, or sometimes it is just written just as dB. So when it is dB, you just understand that okay, it is dB. Okay, or or you could also represent it in dBm, dB milliwatt. So how do you represent that in dB milliwatt? 30, you add 30 to the dB watt, then you get dB milliwatt. So 30 plus 10 log to the base 10 P, and that is in dBm. So this is how you could evaluate it. Okay. So could you just evaluate the, let's say I have a signal, let's say I have a signal which has the power which is equal to 0.31256, okay, into 10 to the power 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, this much watts is there. Okay, so I have this much watts of power. Can you just convert it into dB watt and dB milliwatt and let me know? Please do it. So if you convert this into
Into
power
dBm.
in dB watt, okay, power in dB watt, it will be how much? 10 log to the base 10 of this P, the power that is given, which is 0.31256 into 10 to the power minus 6. Okay. Just find it out. I think you will get around minus 65.05 dB watt. Okay. And if you convert that into dBm, you have to just add 30 to it. So if you want to express that in dBm, okay, dB milliwatt, it will be equal to, just I am just adding 30 to it. So I will get minus 35.050666. Okay, around this much. So here also 0.666 is there. So this much you will get. Okay, in dB milliwatt. So are you clear about it or any doubts here? In the exam, if you are given a question like this, will you be able to solve it?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Okay. Acha, remember one thing here. Okay. With every 3 dB increase, okay, with every 3 dB increase, the power doubles. Okay. You could try it yourself. Okay. Take it as an assignment and just try it yourself. Okay. So you have taken the power in as 0.31256. Okay. Into 10 to the minus 6 watts. Just multiply 2 to it. You will get the double of it. Okay. Then you convert that into dB watt. You will find that the difference will be only 3. Okay. 3 dB. Did you get it? What I said? So 3 dB increase, if there is a 3 dB increase in the power or 3 dB watt increase in the power in this logarithm domain, that means the power is doubling. The power doubles. That means if I multiply 2 times, 2 multiplied with this value, okay, this value is equivalent to adding 3 in this dB watt domain. Okay, so at every 3 dB the power doubles. Okay. The next thing that we will be discussing is the manipulation of continuous time signals, how we could manipulate signals, and then we will be studying about the different types of signals. So manipulation of a small preview, like what is a continuous time signal. You must have seen these signals, something like this. Okay, so this is basically a continuous time signal. Continuous time signal. That means this signal exists for all values of time. See, this x-axis shows you the time, right? If I take any value here, let's say this is 0, and let's say this is 1 second, and let's say this is 2 second. Then in between this 0 and 1 second, or in between this 1 and 2 second, if I take any value, it may be your 0.000001, it may be 0.5 4321111, any value. If I take any value of time for that, okay, for any value of time, then I will find an amplitude of this signal. That, or we can also say that that signal is present at that particular amount of time. So a continuous time signal, okay, exists for all values of time. Okay, so suppose a signal is there which is in this case, like we have taken a sine wave. So between this 0 to 2 second, the signal exists everywhere, isn't it? Whereas if you take a discrete time signal, a discrete time signal will look like this. Okay, that means it only exists for discrete values of time. That means, let's say this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So that means, see, this signal exists at 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, on at these times only. And now if somebody will ask me to find the amplitude of the signal at 0.5 seconds, so I will be, it will be impossible for me to find it out. Okay, because this signal doesn't exist there. Okay, so a continuous time signal exists for all values of time, as you can see here. Continuous time signals. Okay, the first manipulation operation that we will be performing on signals is the amplitude scaling. Okay, amplitude scaling. This is similar to your amplification and attenuation. You could either amplify a signal or you could attenuate a signal. So let me just write the definition of it, and then we will be performing some operation on a given signal. Okay, so the amplitude scaling is performed by multiplying the amplitude of the signal, the amplitude of a signal by a constant. So if your x of t is a continuous time signal, okay, then its amplitude scale version can be written as a x of t. A is a constant multiplied with x of t is its amplitude scaled version. Amplitude scaled version. So let us take a signal and let us perform amplitude scaling on it. So try to understand one thing. This scalar that is multiplied here, that capital A, okay, if that capital A is greater than 1, okay, if it is greater than 1, then the signal is amplified. The signal is the signal x of t is amplified. Okay. Similarly, if your capital A is less than 1, okay, the signal is attenuated. Attenuated. Okay. And if it is equal to 1, obviously the signal remains the same. So let us take a signal and we try to perform this amplitude scaling operation on it. Let us say that we have a signal x of t which is given like this. Okay, and this is the time. Let's say this is t1 and let's say this is t2 and this is t3, and the amplitudes are like this. Here it is 1 and here it is 2 volts. Okay, and let us do this operation on it. Let's say the value of capital A is 2, so we are finding 2x of t. Okay, so you could take any other values also. See, so here we are just taking 2 here. Okay, so if you multiply 2 to this amplitude, okay, just look at this figure here. If you see this 1 and this 2 is there, if we multiply 2 to it, the 1 will become 2 and the 2 will become 4, right? So the resulting signal will look like this. Let me just redraw it. So the resulting signal will look like this. Okay, the time axis will remain unchanged. Here it is t1, here it is t2, here it is t3. It will remain unchanged. What will change? The amplitude. So where it was 1, it will be now 2. Where it was 2, it will be now 4. Okay, so this is where it has changed. Got it? So this kind of operation is called your amplification. Okay, so in amplitude scaling, we have amplification or attenuation. So this kind of operation is called your amplification. The next we will see an example of your attenuation. Okay, if you have written it, let me just scroll up. Okay, so let's say let us find 0.5 times x of t. 0.5 times x of t. So this will be a attenuation version. Attenuation. So what will happen, you know, just look at this 1 and this 2 that are there in this signal. Just a minute. Okay, just look at this 1 and 2 in this signal. So 1 multiplied with 0.5 will become 0.5. 2 multiplied with 0.5 will become 1. Okay, so the resulting signal will look like this. So again, the time axis will remain unchanged. Let me just redraw that signal. Okay, so the time axis will remain unchanged, t1, then t2, and then t3. Okay, so only the amplitude will change. So here the amplitude will be 0.5 and here the amplitude will be 1. Okay, because 2 into 0.5 is equal to 1 and 1 into 0.5 is equal to 0.5. So this is your attenuation. This is an example of attenuation. So if I give you any other signal also, I think it would be do it easily, right? Got it? Or any doubt here?
No doubts.
Okay. The next operation is your time scaling. Okay. The second operation is manipulation operation is your time scaling. Okay. So let me write the definition first, and then we will be performing time scaling on a given signal. Acha, let me just give. So now we will be discussing the time scaling. So time scaling. Okay. So the time scaling is performed by multiplying the variable time by multiplying the variable time by a constant. Okay. So previously we were multiplying a scalar with the amplitude, and here we will be similarly multiplying a scalar with a with the time basically. Okay. So if your x of t is a continuous time signal, time signal, okay, then its time scale version is written like this: x of at, okay, so is the time scaled version of your signal x of t. Okay. Now, based on the value of this capital A, okay, which is basically a constant. Okay, let me just write that also, where your capital A is constant. Okay, so if the value of capital A is greater than 1, you will find that the signal will contract in the time. Okay, contracts with respect to time. Similarly, if your this capital A is less than 1, the signal is expanded. Okay, with respect to time. Let us take an example and let us perform this operation on a signal. Okay, so let's take the same example. So let's say this, we have this signal here, and the amplitude is 1 here, the amplitude is 2 here, and this is your T1, T2, and this is T3. So where there will be change, in this T1, T2, and T3. So let us first find x of 2t. Okay, so here we have taken the value of, oh, just a minute. Okay, so let us find x of 2t. Okay, so here what we will be doing, we will be we have taken, yes, we have taken the value of capital A as 2. Okay, you could take any other values also, and let us observe what will be the changes in the signal. So this signal will appear like this. Okay, the amplitude 1 and 2 will remain same. Okay, and what will be changing, only the time variable. Okay, so t1 will now become, since you have taken a is equal to 2, that's why the new time will be replaced, t1 will be replaced by t1 by 2. Similarly, t2 will be replaced by t2 by 2, and t3 will be replaced by t3 by 3, sorry, by 2. So the signal will appear like this. Okay, so what has changed, only the things in the time domain have changed. So if I compare this signal with the previous signal, then the difference will be like this. Let me just draw it in red so that it will be easier for you to know how the signal has changed. So whatever I have drawn in red, that is basically the original signal. Okay, so you could see that compared to the original signal, which was your x of t, okay, your x of 2t, in x of 2t, you could see that the signal has contracted with respect to time. This is your x of 2t. So in place of this, if we were having, let's say capital A is equal to 3, then in that case, this T1 by 2 will be replaced by T1 by 3. Similarly, if you take, let's say capital A is equal to 4, then it will be this T1 will be replaced by T1 by 4. Okay, in this way, you have to find out the time scaled version of the signal. Got it? Now let us take another example. Okay, here let's take the value of capital A is equal to 0.5. Okay, so it will be your x of 0.5 t. So we have taken capital A is equal to 0.5 here. In the previous case, we had taken capital A is equal to 2. Here we will be taking capital A equal to 0.5. So let's see how the new signal will look like. Okay, the new signal will again have the same amplitude. Okay, 1 and 2, let me mark it. Okay, so the time, only in the time domain or the time variable which will change, and the new ones will be, one will be your 2t1, okay, and it will be your 2t2, the next one will be 2t3. So the signal will look like this. Okay, the signal will look like this. Now, if we compare this signal with the original signal, which is your x of t, then it will look like this. The original signal will look like this. Okay, this is your original signal. This is your x of t. While the signal that we have drawn in blue here is your x of 0.5 t. Okay, so you could see that as we reduce the value of capital A, okay, if we make it less than 1, you could see there is an expansion in the time variable. And similarly, if we take the value of capital A greater than 1, so you could see there is a contraction. Okay, any doubts here? So let me scroll it up. The next operation that we will be doing is the folding. Okay, this folding is of otherwise known as your reflection or your transpose. Okay, so let me write the definition first, and then we will be performing the reflection operation on a signal. The folding of a continuous time signal x of t is performed by changing the sign of the time base, by changing the sign of the time base, small t, okay, in the signal, x of t. Okay, so what we are basically trying to do here is we are trying to find the mirror image of a signal. Okay, the mirror image is actually the opposite of what actually is on the on one side. I will show you basically. So x, it is written as x of minus t. Okay, the folded version of a signal x of t is x of minus t. So x of minus t is the folded version of your x of t. If our x of t is the original signal, x of minus t is the folded version. So let me just show you a signal and we will find out its folded version. So let's say our x of t is again the same signal. Okay, let's just see, this is 0, this is T1, this is T2, and this is T3, and the amplitude is 1 and 2 respectively. So its folded version is x of minus t. Okay, and how it will look like, if you take a mirror image of this, okay, if you take a mirror image of this, how it will look like, see, it will look like this. So this will be your 0. Okay, on the other side of the axis, it will be, if this was your T1, then it will be minus T1. Similarly, T2 will be minus T2. Similarly, T3 is minus T3. Okay, and the signal will look like this. Okay, 1, and this is your 2. You could see that it is just the mirror image, or mirror, it is just the replica of the signal x of t. Only what we have done is we have taken it to the other side of that y-axis. Okay, so this is your folding operation. This is a very simple operation. Okay, the next is your time shifting operation. Time shifting. Time shifting is very important. Okay, just note the definition, and then I will be to perform this operation. The shifting of continuous time signal x of t is performed by replacing the independent variable okay, small t. So we'll be replacing the independent variable, that is your time, small t, by your small t minus m. Okay, to get time shifted signal, to get the time shifted signal, your x of small t minus m. Okay, where your small m represents the time shift in seconds, the time shift in seconds. Okay. As simple as that. So the continuous time signal x of t is performed by replacing the independent variable small t by small t minus m to get the time shifted signal x of small t minus m. So in x of small t, x of t minus m, obviously it will become this, na? This x of small t minus m. So where m represents time shift. Okay. So based on the value of m, we can have two different kinds of shifts. Let me just explain that. So if m is positive, it is called delay. If your m is positive, it is called delay. If your m is negative, if your m is negative, it is called advance. Okay. Okay. So if your m is positive, it is called your delay, or the signal is delayed. If m is negative, it is called advance, or the signal is advanced. Okay, let us take a signal and we'll try to perform the delay operation as well as advance operation. Okay, so let's say our signal is the same signal, only we were changing a little bit in the time axis. Let's say this is the amplitude 1 and 2 here, and this is your x of t, and let's say the time is like this. This is 1 second. Okay, and this is your 2 and this is your 3 seconds. Okay, so the signal is like this, and on this signal let us first perform a delay operation. Okay, delay, and let us delay it by 2, x of t minus 2. So delay means you need to take of m positive. That means we have to take, we have taken here 2. Okay. So x of t minus 2. So what will happen, you know? Signal. Let me just mark the different points on the x-axis. It is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and let's say this is 5. Okay. And the amplitudes are like this, 1, and let's say this is 2. Okay. Now, the delayed version of this signal, since there is a 2-second delay, try to understand this 2-second delay. So the signal which was beginning from 0, okay, will now start at 2 seconds. Okay. So the signal will look like this. It will look like this. Okay. Got it? So since there are the value of cap 2 was m was capital, sorry, m was 2, that's why we have shifted it by 2 positions. Okay. Let me just take another example. It will be much clearer for you. Okay. Let me just take a signal like this. Let's say this is 0, and let's say this is 1 second, and this is 2 seconds, 2, and this is 3. Okay. Let's say we have a signal like this. Let this signal be y of t. Okay. You could see that the amplitude of the signal is 1 volt, and it starts at 1 second, it ends at 3 seconds. Okay. Let us perform the same operation on this signal, same delay operation. X of, sorry, not x, we have named it y. So let me write it as y of small t minus capital minus 2. Okay. So here also we will be doing the delay operation. Okay. So this signal will look like this. Let me just show you how it will look like. Let me just mark the points here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there is 5. Okay. And let's say this is 6. And the amplitude here is 1 volt. Okay. Now see, this signal which was starting from 1 second is delayed by 2 seconds. So it will now not start from 1 second. It will start from 1 plus 2. That means 3 seconds. So the previous position was this. The previous position of this signal was, it was starting from this point. So now it will be delayed by 2 seconds and it will start at here. Okay. So we have shifted it towards the right by, you could see, 2 seconds. Okay. So this is your y of small t minus capital minus 2. So in this way, we have to delay the signal. Okay. So let me also show you the advance operation. Okay. Let us take the same signal. Okay. This is your 1 second, this is 2, this is 3, this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2 volts. Now we will perform a advance operation. So x of small t plus 2. Okay. So we are doing an advance operation. So what will happen? Just see. This time it will come, previously it was going towards the right. This time it will go towards the left. So this is your 0, this is your 1, this is 2, okay, this is 3. And on this side, this is minus 1, this is minus 2, and let's say this is minus 3. Okay. So previously you could see, just see this signal, okay, which I am marking now. So you could see that this signal was starting from 0. Okay. So since we are advancing it, it will go towards the left by 2 positions. Okay. Because we have, this is x of small t plus 2. That's why we will be shifting it towards the left by 2 positions. So if we shift that, the beginning of this signal to the left by 2 positions, we will first go to minus 1, then to minus 2. Okay. So the signal will begin at minus 1. So it will be like this. Okay. So this signal, got it? Or any doubt here?